All right, here we go. Welcome to the finals. This is best of 5. I'm seeing KeithPelig here on this hand. We've got a Seek Power, an Ice Bolt, a Corendon Merchant, an Ixton Cargo, and 3 power. Pretty solid hand for what Keith is trying to do. Let's see if he can see if they can get enough answers for Major's aggressive Rakano deck. Annihilate is exactly what they want to see on top. Another great answer for the creatures that Major's going to be throwing at them. Major's going to start off with a Seed of Glory and a Ticking Grenadin right off the bat. Keith's going to play out his Justice Sigil and pass. No need to act yet. Major attacks in with the Ticking Grenadin, triggers the Onslaught on the Emerald Coin, making the Ticking Grenadin a 2/2. And no follow-up play. Keith draws a power for turn, plays out a Shadow Sigil, and is going to play out the Merchant. Slay, Regent's Tomb, Inquisitor Mokto, Palace, and Vision of Austerity. They're going to go grab Mokto. They're not going to grab the Slay here. They already have 2 other removal spells. They're going to grab the Mokto for a threat. 2/1 Deadly also blocks pretty well against the units that Major's tossing out. Major plays power. Both players hitting all their power drops so far. Major's going to play the Shogun Scepter on the Ticking Grenadin, attack into the Deadly. Go ahead and trade that off. They do get an Oni Ronin out of the deal, and they get 3 damage. So a little bit of a trade of resources there. Pretty even trade. Major's left with a unit. Keith got to take care of that Ticking Grenadin and is able to keep hitting power drops. Keith's going to go ahead and play Scout. They see Suffocate on the top of the deck. They're going to pitch Suffocate to the bottom. They feel that the 2 removal spells they have plus the Mokto is enough for now. And with all the equipment that Major has, a lot of those units can get out of Suffocate range pretty quickly, as well as Finest Hour, which can blow out a Suffocate as well. Major's going to attack in, get the Warcry on the Oni Ronin, and play out a Crown Watch Press Gang. Welcome, everyone. Thank you, Kamado, for the raid. We really appreciate it. Welcome, everybody that came from Kamado's stream. We really appreciate it. We are in the finals. This is game 1 of the finals of the Singleton Challenge. We have Major on Rakano Aggro versus KeithPelig on Control. Keith's going to take the Annihilate there. He's going to take out the Crown Watch Press Gang, and it's going to follow up with that Mokto. Now, that Mokto is going to be really tough for Major to beat, to deal with permanently. They can burn it out, they can get rid of it, they can vanquish it, but it's going to keep coming back. They don't really have a permanent way to get rid of that. Major's going to play out the Grenadin drones, but no attacks. Can't attack through that 5/5. Keith's going to keep making power drops. Going to scout. They're going to keep Blight Path Smuggler on the top of the deck, and they're going to play out Avara. It's not really what Major wants to see at this point. Major's going to sack one of the Grenadins. Now facing down a 5/5 Mokto and a 3/3 Vara with Lifesteal. And play out a 5/3 Fearless Nomad with Overwhelm. Keith's going to go ahead and use that Smuggler to get Palace. Ice Bolt and Palace in hand for Keith. Keeping all the units back to hold off Major's aggression, weapons, and combat tricks. Major up to 7 power. That's a lot of power for Major's deck. Of course, they can cast everything, but means they're drawing power and not gas. Major's deck wants to win a little faster than that. Major does nothing, passes the turn back. Keith untaps, starts his turn, draws a Seed of Cunning. He's going to go ahead and play out the Palace and is going to give Vara +4/+4 endurance, making Vara a 7/7 endurance lifesteal. Not at all what Major wants to see. That's going to be really tough for Major's deck to deal with. No attacks, though. Still going to keep Vara back to block. Eclipse Dragon for Major. And is going to play the Cudgel on it, making it a 6/6 quick draw with charge, meaning that Keith also doesn't have any power-ups. So if Keith wants to keep the Palace, needs to chump with Mokto, which Keith will do. Mokto will go back in the top of the deck and draws Desecrate off the top. Pretty good draw for Keith there. Plays out Honor of Claws. Draw 3 cards. Mokto is not one of them. Saw 2 cards with the Wisdom of the Elders, then 3 cards with Honor of Claws. Did not see Mokto yet. Will attack with the 7/7 Endurance Lifesteal Vara. No good blocks for Major here. Has to take the 7 damage and the 7 health life swing. Keith's going to follow up with the Desecrate to get rid of the 6/6 dragon. Does get a Minotaur out of the deal, although it's not quite as impactful on this board. Major plays out the Plate Maker. Can twist it twice this turn. Twist to make a 7/5 Overwhelm. And also a 4/3 Oni Ronin. Although this 7/7 Vara is still a big stop sign for Major at this point. Keith going to play the Sack the City to give Vara Berserk, and then play Seraph. Activate Seraph and have Ice Bolt still in hand. Ooh, and a nice Seraph twist with a Lightning Sprite there. That's going to be exactly what Keith wants, to be able to activate Lightning Sprite as well. That is a great twist off of Seraph here. Major, again, has some good units, but not much to do at this point with the 7/7 Endurance Lifesteal unit. Looking good for Keith, I agree. The longer this game goes, the better for Keith. Just the more answers, more market. Remember, Major does not have a market in this event. Attacking the site, attacking the Palace with the 7/5 Overwhelm and with the 4/3 double damage Plate Maker. Are generically powerful cards better than random aggro cards? Potentially. Keith going to fire off the Ice Bolt to take care of the Overwhelm. And then going to trade the 7/7 Vara with the Plate Maker, gaining 7 health and getting 2 of the biggest threats off of Major's board. That Lightning Sprite looking really good for Keith, just being able to, a unit that they didn't even have to play, being able to filter their deck here, and being able to ultimate their site to get Svetya, making so that Major can't cast weapons or spells until Keith's next turn. Ooh. That is a great on top. Leave Wing Brewer on top of the deck. Be able to draw cards with Wing Brewer. It's going to be great. And Mokto's in here as well. We've already gone through almost 10 cards, and there he is. There's Mokto off the top. We knew we were getting there pretty soon. Giving an Aegis and just drawing the Defiance for good measure, and that's likely going to put the game away. Keith has got to feel like they are in such a great position here. A Mokto with Aegis, a Svetya, nothing that Major can play this turn, and then a Defiance just for the rub-ins. Great game there. Went back and forth for a little while, but the longer the game goes, the better it is for Keith. And Keith must have felt great about the way that game was going. So what does Major need to do in order to come back here? In order to win this match, I think Major really needs to be aggressive. They need to have a 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop curve. They need to hope that Keith stumbles either on their power or doesn't have a handful of removal and just be able to overwhelm with their aggression. You see this hand from Keith. Interesting hand. Not a lot of action in here, but they did have a Hailstorm. They thought about it for a second, but tossed it back. This hand's got a little more action in it. You got a Svetya, you've got a Harbinger, and you've got a Diesel's Office. Some life gain in this hand as well, which will help Keith. If they do fall behind, they'll be able to get some life steal to come back and gain that life back. Depleted power for Major on turn 1. Keith running out the cargo. Keep hitting that power. Just keep hitting your power until you hit your 4, 6, and 7, and that game belongs to Keith. Let's see how Major goes. Major will play an Axe Sharpener on turn 2. But Keith draws the Defiance. If they needed anything else to make this hand good, a Defiance off the top will definitely do it. Sansari Brigand, attacking for Major. Not a bad draw, but the Defiance will take care of that. If that had stuck and had Major be able to put equipment on it, might have been a different game here. But Keith being able to take care of both of those, playing out a Svetya on curve, on 4, making Major not play any equipment or spells this turn, and then being able to follow up with a Harbinger 2 turns is looking really good for Keith. Drawing an 8-drop, a little expensive at this point, but just more action for Keith at the top of this game is exactly what they're looking for. They're in no rush. Major, unfortunately, only playing 2 units in the first 5 turns of the game. Really not the script for beating Keith's deck here. Strong equipment here. That's pretty good. Going to go ahead and silence Svetya. Attack with the 5-7. That's pretty good. Keith now has a slightly interesting decision here. Play out the Harbinger or seek power to make sure you hit your 7th power for office. They're going to play out the Harbinger, get the threat down, and they're going to go on the aggressive. They're going to go ahead and attack and hit for 4. Major's going to use the Vanquish, take care of the Harbinger, and attack for 5. Attack for 7 with the Scepter. Let's see if Keith does draw the power for the Diesel's Office. Now reading the ability just like I am here. So Axe Sharpener's ability says, create and draw a copy of each weapon Axe Sharpener was wielding. So this Diesel's Office will kill the Axe Sharpener, but Major will be able to draw all of the equipment that Axe Sharpener was wielding. So it gets those cards back. Also plays Zolta Exile. So we'll get 2/2/2 Aegis with Endurances. Major now has 3 2-power units. 2 strength units here. But thanks to the Diesel's Office, Svetya does have lifesteal. Yeah, absolutely. That is crucial equipment there. Going to attack through. Going to kill Diesel's Office, lose a 2/2 in the process, but that's fine. Now, Lightning Strike would normally be good here, but it's actually the Oni Ronin is out of range unless Keith wants to 2-for-1. And the 2/2 has Aegis, so the Lightning Strike at this point not doing anything. Next turn going to be able to play Muknadi Restored. Pretty good. All right. Major going big here. Going to go ahead and put the Shogun Scepter again. Reusing this equipment from the previous unit. Turning Oni Ronin into a 7/6. Now Keith can 2-for-1 and Lightning Strike along, but not going to. Going to go to 10. Follow up with a Fearless Nomad and a Grenin Drone. Now Keith's fallen a little behind here. They have the Suffocate and they have the Lightning Strike, but they're going to go ahead and play the 8-drop here. But Keith's got a lot of damage coming through. Depends how much burn Keith has. If Keith has some burn in hand, they may be able to just A-space and then burn face, which it looks like they're going to try to do here. They're coming in for at least 6 damage. Let's see if they have any burn to finish them off. And all of a sudden, this game, Major really took over. Lots of removal. Look at that. Death Strike, Ice Bolt, Desecrate. But it might be too little too late. There's so much power, so many units on Major's board. Unless there's a sweeper, you may not be able to knock them out. Now, Vara will have lifesteal. Decides to go the Vara route. Will. Breaks the Aegis on the 2/2s. Major's going to sack a drone. Keep Vara at 3. So if Vara blocks, then Keith is at a virtual 7. Suffocate the Ronin and pass the turn. Does have Lightning Strike and Ice Bolt in hand. But the Torch from Major is going to take out the Vara. Vara's not going to be able to gain any life. Even with one removal spell, that's not going to be enough. And Major, which is a great finish to that game, looked like Major was pretty behind, but those equipment and redrawing the equipment after the kill was crucial there. Major was able to resupply onto the board and tie the finals up at 1-1. Very well played again. We've seen both of these players play extremely patient, extremely well tonight. Definitely deserving to be here in the finals. So now it's 1-1. Remember, this is best of 5. I'm going to remind the players real quick that it's best of 5 before they think this is the final one. And here we go. Ready for game 3. Looking here at Keith's hand. Got 2 scout lands. Going to toss that one back. It's got a hand of 7. Got, for sure, definitely did. Zoltafoil was huge there. Now, interesting, this hand. Look at this hand from Keith. It's got 4 power and 3 good spells, but no primal influence here, and 3 primal spells. So, Keith has some outs, and they have the Scout, but if they don't draw primal influence, their hand doesn't do anything. Now, they drew a Desecrate, something they can cast. The Lost Scroll, not going to do it. That does not give you any primal influence here. Major playing out a Ticking Grenade and attacking for 1. Oof. Tell It is a great card, but not what you want to see on turn 2 when you're missing primal influence. Keith just has to pass it back. Not going to Desecrate that Ticking Grenade in. Grenade attacks. Major follows up with a Cadet. Ooh. Good draw there with the Defiance. Keith needed something to be able to cast, but still missing primal influence. Not able to cast most of the cards in his hand. Going to pass the turn, holding off on that Desecrate for now. Going to use the Defiance on the Cadet. Waiting for a more juicy target with the Desecrate. Not going to get it with a Grenadin Drone. Vanquisher's Blade not doing anything on this board. Keith with a rough hand here. Stuck without Primal Influence, a 7-drop, and removal that doesn't really effectively hit what Major is doing here. And Major's going to keep attacking and passing. Ugh, and Wisdom of the Elders is just salt in the wound. The double Primal draw spell is the last thing Keith wanted to see there. Going to take at least 3 here. Going to take at least 7 here, thanks to the Eclipse Dragon. I'm able to play out the Cargo to get the Primal. That was a big draw for Keith. Try to make this a game. Draws the Primal Influence. Now is able to play all the Primal spells in hand except for the Wisdom of the Elders. But is it too little too late? What can Keith do here? Keith's going to start by permafrosting the Ticking Grenadin, not wanting to take that 3 burn damage off of the Entomb. Going to Island's Choice the Dragon, take 2 damage this turn and go to 10. See what Major's follow-up is. Plays a Firebrand and an embargo officer, more units. Ooh, big draw here with the Black Sky Harbinger, but doesn't have the power to cast it. Has to desecrate, has to take 3 damage. Plays the smuggler, but the smuggler cannot hit the market because of embargo officer. Has to just be a 3/2 blocker. Major torching the blocker, is just tasting it. He's tasting the game win here. He's going to knock Keith down to 3. Play a Groundbreaker. Can't gain life, even if did have the power for the Harbinger. Going to feeding time, and that's just going to be it. Nothing Keith can do. What a great play there by Major. Great opening there. Keith got a little unfortunate there, got primal screwed. You never really want to see the influence screw there take care of a game, but Major capitalizing on it, playing it well, playing out as aggressively as possible to end that before Keith could stabilize. And Major going up 2-1 in the finals. So now it looked like from game 1 into the start of game 2, it seemed like Keith really had the advantage, and this was going to walk away with the control deck in the winner. But Major with a great turnaround and a great comeback in game 2, and then blowing past game 3 on a stumble from Keith, has Major actually taking a 2-1 lead going into game 4 of the finals. If Major can pull this one off, they're going to go home the victor and win this tournament. All right, now Keith, we see, is going to keep another 2 influence hand. This one a little better than last time, though. They're actually able to cast most of the spells in their hand, including Wisdom of the Elders. Only thing they can't cast is End of the Story, which they're not looking to cast anytime soon anyway. Keith's going to go ahead and scout. No turn 1 play from Major. Keith scouting again and getting the first Justice Sigil. They're going to put Island's Choice on the bottom. Pass it back to Major. Rakano Artisan gives all the weapons in Major's deck +1/+1. Keith drawing a Shadow Sigil, is going to play the seat and pass the turn. Wisdom of the Elders end of turn. Major's going to attack in, take the damage where they can, follow up with a Slagmite. Going to secretly knock out a card in the market. Not sure what they're going to take. Mokdo's a pretty good choice there. One of the sites is a good choice as well. Also going to follow up with an Emerald Coin. Put the Slagmite up to a 4/2, pass it back to Keith. Keith going to fire off the Wisdom of the Elders, draw Valkyrie Enforcer and Crest of Vengeance. Crest does give the second Justice to be able to play both the Valkyrie Enforcer and End of the Story. And they see Genev Merchant on top. They're going to keep Genev Merchant on top. Also drew an Ice Bolt. Pretty critical to have both the Permafrost. Lots of removal here. You've got the Annihilate, the Ice Bolt, the Permafrost, End of the Story, and the Enforcer. Going to play out the Annihilate to kill the Slagmite. Only taking 2 damage. Now Keith is still at 21 health. So not really in any danger of dying right now, especially with the End of the Story in their hand. Play out a Shadow Sigil, and they're going to play the Enforcer to silence the Quartermaster. That's a big silence on the Quartermaster, meaning that Major cannot go off and draw a bunch of cards while playing out the weapons. The Streets of Flame the Enforcer. Notably, Major still only on 3 power. Plays out the 4th power. Going to put Keith down to 17. Keith draws another Sigil. Hitting the land drops. Hitting the power drops. Plays out the Justice Sigil. Is going to play End the Story here. Going to just clear it out. Take care of the board. Major's going to attack with the Sensari Brigand, deal some damage, and knock Keith all the way down to 13. Is Major smelling blood at this point? Keith goes for the Merchant and does grab the Palace, so we know they didn't hit that. Keith's also going to Permafrost the Brigand. stay alive, and keep Major. Keep no units on Major's side from doing anything. That's the game plan. Stay alive and keep Major from growing a wide board. Major's going to play out a 4-drop, an Imperial Loyalist. Good draw here by Keith, playing out that Black Sky Harbinger. That's going to be big. Won't take out any units on this board, but a little bit of lifesteal and having a 4 or 5 lifesteal in the air is a good way to come back from this. Gain 3 life on this turn, go up to 16. They're going to wait on that, though. They're going to play Palace first. They're going to give +4/+4 endurance to their Aegis unit, making the Genev Merchant a 6/6 endurance Aegis. It's going to be tough for Major to get through. And it's going to protect the site from the Loyalist. We have 2 units now to block. Major deciding what to do. Could smell the blood in the water, but doesn't really have a lot of great options here. Going to have to just play out a depleted power and pass. Not much they can do. Keith going to draw 2 cards. Draws a Smuggler and a Clutch of Talons. Clutch of Talons is going to be huge on the Aegis Endurance unit. Going to put that up to make it an 8/8 flyer and get a dragon off of it and make a 5/5 flyer. And all of a sudden, Keith has turned this game around, and now there's a clock. Keith can win this in 2 turns. Keith can win this next turn with the Berserk. Major going to play Reinvigorate on the Imperial Loyalist, triggering Renowned to play another unit with the cost equal less. Going to play out Crownbreaker, possibly to gain some life. But if this site survives, even if the site doesn't survive, that's too much power in the air. Great comeback by Keith. And now we are 2-2. And this is it. This is for all the marbles. This is game 5. Major versus KeithPelig for the finals. Winner take all on this game right here. Who we got, chat? All right, and here we go. You see Keith's hand, all 3 colors, a Hailstorm, a Merchant, a Feast Caller, and a Reclaim. Pretty solid hand for Keith. Not a ton of early removal, but the Hailstorm definitely makes up for that. If Major tries to go wide with the first few turns, that Hailstorm is really going to knock him out. But if Major's hand is more of play a 2-drop and suit it up with some really powerful equipment, Keith's hand isn't quite as good against that. Now, with the 2 merchants, can go get, or at least with the Winchest merchant, can go get Slay from the market, if that ends up being the case. And there's a Crownbreaker. Keith draws a Svetya for turn and passes back. Let's see what Major can do with this Crownbreaker. Can get it out of Hailstorm range. Or is Major going to go wide? There's the question. Can put the Scepter on it, but that's not going to be enough. That'll be a big hit this turn. Oh, notably, Keith does not have the second Primal. Keith cannot fire off Hailstorm here. They don't have double Primal. So they're going to have to play the Shadow Sigil and play the Merchant. Play the Merchant to get Vision of Austerity. Transform an enemy relic into an Omen of Austerity cursed relic. Major going to play out a power, pumping Crownbreaker. Major going to play out that Ikaria. Keith really needs the second Primal. Yeah, I don't think it does. That's interesting. Maybe I'm missing something here, but I don't see what this card does. Really needs that second primal. Is not going to draw the second primal. Has the Hailstorm in hand. Had the Hailstorm in hand from the opener and would have just decimated Major's board, but does not have the second primal. And we can see this is 2 games in a row now, or two games in this finals that Keith had influence problems with this triple faction deck. Major sticking to the 2 factions with the insignias has had a little bit better influence. Go ahead and be aggressive here. Gonna suit up the little Icaria. But the Slay is going to take care of the Icaria. Keith's going to stay at 5. Going to take 2 from the Oni Ronin and go to 3. Does Major have any way to deal 3 damage to Keith for the win? Plays out a Crown Watch Paladin. An assembly line. Going to try to go wide here. And that's going to do it. Keith stuck on both 3 power and on influence. Not the way you want to go out. That is an oof. That's an oof way to end that. But such is games. That's why we play 5 games in the finals.